TNA Wrestling crossed the line once again as we head ever closer to the Emergence pay-per-view show and the return of the Ultimate X match. Don't forget, for your weekly TNA television, go to the TNA Plus app and download it and get on there, and you can watch TNA live across the world. Make sure that you do that. Emergence will be on there. Your weekly impacts on there. Bound for Glory is on there. And what a way to start. The Bound for Glory location is finally revealed. A bit bittersweet for us in the UK. It didn't get to the UK this time, but it is going to be in Detroit. Be a great show. Tickets, I think, going on sale very soon. Keep an eye out on TNA website, TNA on this is TNA on X and everywhere else to get the tickets when they come out. It's gonna be a hell of a show, and you never ever know who's going to turn up at TNA's biggest pay-per-view of the year. So please ensure you get your tickets for that in Detroit. It's going to be one hell of a show. Speaking of shows, let's bring it straight into Impact Wrestling. This week's TNA, we've got Ultimate X Qualifiers, crossovers, and so much more. Big thanks also to TNA. I yesterday interviewed the X Division champion, Speedball Mike Bailey. That will drop ahead of Emergence in just a few short weeks' time. So keep your eyes peeled for that. It is a great interview, and a big thanks to everyone at TNA and TNA UK for providing us with the interviews for the roster. It has been very much appreciated on this side of the pond and very much appreciated by me personally. Now, we start Impact with the honeymoon. TNA Impact started with the Steph DeLander PCO honeymoon. PCO's nowhere to be found, but Steph DeLander kicks off the show. She's holding some lingerie, shall we say, getting ready to welcome her new husband, PCO, to the honeymoon suite or wherever they're in. Interesting times. Will that happen or not? We don't know. We'll find out later on in the night, but PCO and Steph DeLander's honeymoon is going to be at the forefront of this week's TNA Impact. But the underwear she had on, I mean, PCO is a lucky man. Let's say that. Now he's got, should we say DeLander or is she Miss PCO now? I don't know. But anyway, going back into the action, the system start things off. It's been a rough few weeks from the system post Slammiversary, losing pretty much all the titles other than Alicia Edwards holding the Women's Knockouts Championship, losing last week as well. They're going to get back into the groove again. And, nothing has changed according to Brian Myers. They are still the best wrestling faction. I don't know about that, but or as my son would say, are you sure about that? Interesting one on this. The system, he said that, and Moose then claimed, sorry, that he will get the TNA World Championship back when the time is right. However, Moose has then challenged Mike Santana for next week's TNA Impact. That is going to be, if it happens, I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed, but that is going to be a hell of a match. And he's going to give him the old Yeller treatment. Why? Because in the end, you always trust the system. So it looks like next week, Santana against Moose on TNA. We haven't even had a match yet, and already I want next week. And that's not because the rest of the show is bad. That match alone is worth me watching it next week. It's going to be a hell of a contest between Moose and Santana. We will see what transpires on that one next week. But we do go backstage to Gresham and Kushida. Jonathan Gresham wasn't wearing the mask. And she was even surprised that Gia Miller was like, I'm not used to seeing you without the mask. Gresham said he hasn't been feeling well for a while. When Kushida comes in, doesn't say anything. He basically extends his hand and walks off. Now, they do have a match later on in the show, which is interesting. But speaking of interesting matches, Ultimate X qualifying. So Ultimate X returns at Emergence, which is going to be fantastic. Looking forward to seeing that when on the 30th of August. It's going to be a hell of a contest. And I did speak to Mike Bailey about this, but Mike Bailey said on the interview that Mike Bailey said, that one of the reasons why he's doing this on Impact was because he wants to prove that he's the best X Division champion of them all. And to do that, he effectively put his X Division championship on the line in a qualifying match to get into the Ultimate X match. And if he had lost that match, then the Ultimate X, the X Division Championship would be on the line at Emergence. And he took on his current partner, Mr. Trent Seven, and Jake something in a triple threat Ultimate X match, in the triple threat, sorry, match for the Ultimate X. This was absolutely crazy. You know, you've got Jake something, a real top blue chipper in TNA. He's going to be an absolute megastar, hard hitting, hard action. You've got Trent Seven in this, a wily veteran of wrestling, can wrestle different styles really well. Maybe not necessarily a luchador style, but we will leave that up to you. And when Trent wants to pull that out, you can have a look at it for yourself. But nevertheless, Speedball Mike Bailey, who's got a great ground and pound, a great sort of, I would say, wrestling background, some hard hitting kicks, and he can also fly as well. And this was absolutely brilliant, this match. I would go again, when I say about going out your way to watch this, I absolutely would. And it was a brilliant, brilliant match. Bailey did hit the Ultimo weapon onto Jake something. And he is the first to qualify for Ultimate X. Now, I don't get this because if he wins Ultimate X, what does that do for the title? That means he gets a shot at himself. Because Ultimate X, right? You could, I don't know, just for the X division, are they going to change it? And also, him being in that match, if he was to lose that match and the winner gets their shot at the X division title, would the winner take that shot straight away because Mike Bailey would be injured or Mike Bailey might be hurt after that match? Food for thought, indeed. And looking forward to seeing who else qualifies for that. But Speedball Mike Bailey is your first competitor qualified for the Ultimate X match at Emergence. And again, check out our interview with him in a few short weeks' time. It is an absolute blast. So keep your eyes peeled on our social media platforms for that interview. But there was go backstage now. Giselle Shaw, Tasha Steeles, Santana Marella. There was a little bit of a to-do last week on TNA Explosion. Steeles cheated to beat Giselle Shaw. Santino comes into the room with them too, making a cop siren sound. He announces another match between the two with two extra referees for next week's TNA Impact to ensure no extra shenanigans. Quite interestingly, Tasha Steeles kind of says, okay, or like a bit like Cardi B. Not quite sure. I'm not a Cardi B fan, but I am a coffee fan. So I'm just going to sip some coffee before we continue with next. What's on next on TNA? And we go back to the backstage again. So the Bound for Glory location was announced. We already said that October 26th, Detroit, Michigan. The location wasn't announced at that point anyway. But anyway, Hammerstone is backstage and he wants to be in the Ultimate X match at Emergence. Quite amazing that Santino said it's not about weight limits. He's got it. He's going to be in the Ultimate X match. Wow. I mean, Mike Bailey, Hammerstone. Do we even need any more people in this match? It is going to be off the chart just by those two in there. But as Santino walks away, Eric Young appears and says to Hammerstone, they have unfinished business. Will that unfinished business be next week, week after? We'll find out. But Eric Young and Hammerstone looking like they're going to come to blows again on TNA. Will be another great, great match. The wily veteran of Eric Young. Hammerstone is strong, powerful, and the guy can move. I use the term blue chipper a lot. Bona fide blue chipper, Hammerstone. TNA have done an excellent job getting him signed, and as I said a couple of weeks ago, we need to see Hammerstone on our TV, and it looks like we're getting it. Hopefully very, very soon. And Impact could be as soon as next week on TNA, but we'll have a look at that. Have a look at that when it happens. Kushida and Gresham was next there. This has been going on for a while. You look at the backstory. John Gresham returned with the octopus mask and black inking people, and they're becoming sick and all of this sort of stuff. Interestingly enough, this week Gresham wasn't wearing the mask this week. on Impact. He's been wearing, normally he comes out with the black mask. He wasn't be this week. Very interesting on that he wasn't wearing the mask, but he didn't. However, Kushida got the hoverboard lock for the victory. So it was interesting on this. There was a lot of clean breaks. It was a technical wrestling bout. I mean, these two, from a technical standpoint, are probably two of the best wrestlers to do it technically. And they had a great technical battle in that ring. If you watch that, and if you're a fan of technical wrestling, then these two are going to be great, and you will enjoy watching that match. It was a great, great match. Very, very good. Some clean breaks as well, which was quite surprising after everything you see. But yeah, Kushida getting the win. Don't know. I'm a bit thinking about Gresham. I mean, I wanted him back. I love Gresham. I think he's so, so talented. Um, I just need to see him start picking up some more wins in TNA. It would really, I think, well, obviously, wins help everybody, right? When you win matches. But yeah, I just want to see him win some more. He's so, so good in that ring. Maybe the best is still yet to come from Jonathan Gresham. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But certainly this week, not a win for John Gresham, as Kushida picks up a big win on this one. We go backstage at this point, and our good friend, I'm going to call him a good friend. I think he's a good friend of the show, Speedball Mike Bailey, who incidentally is over in the UK for OTT Wrestling. Go and check that out if you're not over in Ireland. The heavyweight champion of TNA is also over. Nick Nemeth, he will take on the king of the 0121, the lyrical dragon, man like Dries, over in Ireland. If you're in there, if you're around about there, go and watch an incredible night of wrestling, OTT. But now, interestingly enough, Speedball Bailey and Bullet Club ABC, who are basically our tag champions again, but all on the same page. Speedball Bay did thank him for their help as well. Which was really nice. Obviously, they helped him out the other week and asked him to do the honor in competing in qualifying matches for the X division, for the Ultimate X match. And Chris Bay liked that idea, and Ace Austin both liked the idea of both becoming dual champions. So again, this is where it fell apart for Bullet Club before. Because if you remember, Ace Austin wasn't happy with Chris Bay when Chris Bay got the shot at the X Division title. Instead of focusing on regaining the tag team championships, then Ace Austin had the shot. There was a lot of dissension, a lot of miscommunication about this. And once again, they are being distracted by singles gold, even though they are tag team champions. It is interesting, to say the least. Not quite sure where they're going to go with this. But again, Bullet Club ABC need to be very careful. That cost them before. It nearly cost them. They had to have a match to iron out their differences. And I think Chris Bay won that one. So they've got to be careful they don't fall down the same trap. But you're going to add Bullet Club AB. I mean, they're in the qualifiers. But if you're going to add Bullet Club ABC into a match with Hammerstone and Mike Bailey, take the money, everyone. It will be incredible. But let's hope that Bullet Club ABC do not start falling apart like they did previously. Back with Mrs. PCO at this point. She's in a hot tub now. In the honeymoon, she grabs her cell phone. She gets his voicemail. So, he's still not here. What's going on with PCO? I mean, he was hit with a brick by Matt Cardona last week. If you remember at the wedding, Cardona come out and smashed him with a brick. Not entirely sure where PCO is. Would you want to keep Steph DeLanda waiting? And she's got lingerie. She's in a hot tub. Would you keep her waiting? I don't know. Probably not. But PCO is. I'm hoping he's got something big planned because, Steph ain't going to be happy if he's leaving her hanging. Jordynne Grace is next. It was an open challenge for the Knockouts Championship. Wasn't taken by any member of the NXT roster, but was in fact taken by Rosemary, the returning Rosemary. We saw her last week. A new Rosemary, more sort of gothic style Rosemary. And these two were, she did have the knife, by the way, Rosemary. She's crazy. Nevertheless, like Rosemary and Jordynne Grace was having a really good match. And in fact, I think it was a bit short because, it gets to the point where you're just getting into the match and it's just settling into a nice rhythm and a nice pace. Obviously, the George the Iceman appears and Ash by Elegance comes out and attacks them both with a pink kendo stick. It was behind the referee's back initially, but when the referee did turn around, she's posing with the kendo stick. Both women are laid out and the referee throws it out. No, the match doesn't continue. It's a double disqualification or a no contest on this one. Ash is picking a fight with, I mean, she's got, wow, she's brave. I mean, you're picking a fight with Rosemary and Jordynne Grace. Like, are you sure? Like, are you kidding me? Are you really, really sure? Again, to quote my son, are you sure about that? Crazy for Ash, but she wants that championship. There's no doubt about it. She wasn't successful the first time. Doesn't mean she ain't going to be successful the next time they compete for the gold, whenever that may be. Rosemary's not going to be very happy, but she's coming in with a knife, for Christ's sake. Why the hell are you hitting her with a kendo stick? She's got a knife, Jeez. But anyway, maybe we'll find out maybe next week on TNA Impact what happens or what the next part of that uh, attack or where that will lead to for Ash by Elegance. But she wants the Knockouts Championship and she's attacked the champion. So maybe she'll get an opportunity at the Knockouts Championship. Now, earlier on, you remember that Bound for Glory was indeed announced for Detroit, Michigan. A little bit later on in the show, it is going to be at the Wayne State University Fieldhouse in Detroit, Michigan, October the 26th. So there you go, fans in Detroit, fans in the surrounding areas, fans wherever. If you want to go on October the 26th, it will bound to be a great pay-per-view. Oh, Jesus, I'm full of jokes this morning, but not jokes now. Josh Alexander. We've been waiting for Josh to keep on saying about why did he screw Joe Hendry. He didn't really. I mean, this is a bit of bane of contention for me. I don't think he screwed Joe Hendry out of the title. Joe, it was the six-man elimination match. Joe Hendry did just pin Moose for the title, yes. But Josh is in every entitlement to do what he done in that match. He did low blow him in the balls, fair. But there was no DQs in this match. So he's very, very, that is all legal. So he done nothing wrong, really. So there is a little bit of contention in that, I think, anyway. He did call Joe Hendry a meme. He's not a pro wrestler, was Josh Alexander. So interesting. But he continues to talk on, and he does then say that Nick Nemeth is going to be a transitional champion, which is interesting. Nick Nemeth doesn't say a word when he come out, though, quite enough. He simply walks up, hits him to drop his guard, then blasts him with a super kick. And kneels down next to him, says, I'm a fighting champion. You want your match. You got it. Next week in Tampa, in TNA, Nick Nemeth will defend the World Championship against the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. Well, I haven't got my wallet on me. Take my money. Next week's TNA is looking red hot. And then Nick Nemeth, Santino Marella did make that official for next week as well, for next Thursday on Impact. But Frankie Kazarian did come in and say it's his house. Daddy at first. Santino said when it's his turn, he'll get a title shot. But Daddy's not even sitting at the table at the minute. And Kaz does assure Santino that he will get that title one way or another, or a title shot one way or another. Kazarian going for Nick Nemeth. I like the sound of that, but I am liking Nick Nemeth, Josh Alexander even more so. Now, another big thing that happened this week, you may have seen it on NXT, was the betrayal of the Rascals by Wesley. Absolutely shocking. Not a big fan of Wesley at all from there. If you have watched NXT this week, go and check it out. Wesley turns on the Rascals, Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel. Brings us nicely to this match right now, which is the Zachary Wentz against Dante Chan from NXT and KC Navarro, who is an absolute brilliant wrestler. I've seen him quite a few times at Progress Wrestling. He is amazing in that ring. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. This triple threat match was absolutely jam-packed with action. I really enjoyed this. Again, these Ultimate X matches this week do not fail to live up to expectations. They were brilliant. You need to check them out. This was a brilliant triple threat match. Chen got a chance to shine during this as well. Casey Navarro is just so good in that ring. I want to see him sign to someone like a TNA full time because he is really good. As I say, the few times I've seen him at Progress, I've seen him on YouTube as well, watching him on YouTube. Brilliant competitor, absolutely fantastic. However, Zachary Wentz does get the victory on this, and he joins at the moment definitely Speedball Bailey. I mean, we said that Hammerstone's, we're pretty sure Hammerstone's got it. Nancy Arella said he did, but he's not been official yet in this match. So far, Speedball Bailey, Zachary Wentz, and maybe Hammerstone. That's amazing. Amazing. Now, Steph DeLander, she's been waiting all night for PCO. She is literally at this point in her nightwear, laying on her bed. He's almost here, she says. She waits on her new husband, PCO, and there's a knock at the door. And she is literally taking some of her, night dress off. She opens the door with a big smile on her face. And there is the indie god, the deathmatch king, Matt Cardona, on the other side of that door. DeLander wants absolutely nothing to do with him and pushes him out. But outside the room, we see PCO being held down, and Cardona leads in his face and tells him to stay away from his property and Steph DeLander, and then kicks him in the back of the head. Absolute disgrace, Cardona. You've been on this show as well. Not happy with you, my friend. You need to leave them alone. Let them get on with the married life. What am I, a counselor? Anyway, Matt Cardona, you're picking a fight with the wrong man if you think, with PCO. The song I used to say for Samoa Joe, Joe's going to kill you. PCO is going to kill you at some point. So get ready for that. Now, main event time. This week on NXT, Joe Hendry beat Joe Coffey. And now this week on a TNA Impact, the main event, Joe Hendry defeats another member of Gallus, that being Wolfgang. Joe Hendry did get the mic, the chance of We Believe and all of that. And what Joe Hendry was saying, it wasn't long ago that they were both back in Scotland trying to make name for themselves. And it wasn't that long ago they showed up to his place for work and handled him. He did say that to show the Gallus attacking him with a chair. But the interesting thing, what he did point out, was there was no Mark or Joe Coffey with Wolfgang tonight. And there you go. So it was just Wolfie on his own. Really good, solid main event between these two guys. Really loved it. He did end up winning the match where Wolfgang went for the howling swanton bomb, but Hendry avoids that, hits the standing ovation and gets the victory. Superb main event. Really love this. Joe Hendry's momentum continues to build in TNA and in NXT. He did say that he's going to be sticking around in NXT for a longer time yet. So we're going to be seeing a lot of Joe Hendry on our TV screens. I still think, and I'm still putting it down there right now, Joe Hendry is going to be in the Royal Rumble come January 2025. That's my pick. We're going to be saying his name and he appears at the Royal Rumble for me. Anyway, that's what I think on that. But it didn't go. That wasn't the end of TNA. It was the main event, but it wasn't the end of the show. Mike Santana was brawling with the system by himself to end the show this week and get ready for next week. And just next week, so we can announce what's coming on next week, Moose versus Mike Santana will be next week. Ultimate X qualifying matches will continue next week. And Nick Nemeth puts the TNA World Championship on the line against the walk-in weapon, Josh Alexander. If that isn't enough, guys, to get you onto the TNA Plus app, to go and get that downloaded, go and watch some TNA, I don't know what will. It's going to be another action-packed week next week as TNA will cross the line again. But on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, we have got a hell of a lot coming up. We have review shows. We may be adding a review show, and you think, how on earth is that possible? We may well be adding another NWA territory to our review shows. Me and Fiona are in discussions about doing something there with one of the territory promotions that we can watch weekly on YouTube. So stay tuned for that, more information on that. But coming up, we've got all the review shows as we normally do, plus interviews part 1 with Mike Mondo coming up. The origins of Mondo will be coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Blacksmith Apparel will be coming up next week with Alan. We sit down and discuss all the shirts with him that he's created and how quickly the company formed, which was very, very quick, by the way. Mike Mondo Point 2, Spirit Squad Mikey will also be coming up in a couple of weeks' time, as will the interview with Speedball Mike Bailey. Guys, keep it locked on TNA. This is TNA on Twitter, as well as us at HTT Buckle, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, at all other social media platforms. This has been the TNA Impact Review on the Hitting the Turnbuckle channel with me, your host, AC. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.